Howdy, y'all. This is going to be a weird stream tonight. And I'll probably repeat myself a bunch of times because I know I'm early. I didn't have anything else to do. Usually at this time, Steve and I chit-chat and talk about Chuck and Ape a whole lot. And then, you know, what we've done all day, and we share recipes and other life hacks like that. But I ain't got no Steve tonight. I think I saw him in the chat. So in case you're wondering, Steve is fine. But at this time, we love saying that in the fire department. At this time, the house is on fire. I always thought that was a stupid thing to say at this time. Anyway, there's weather going on up where Steve is at, and he doesn't want to be involved in doing a live stream and not paying attention to the weather situation. And they are already not staying in the trailer because, you know, a trailer in a tornado situation is a magnet for crap to happen. So I am going to live stream for Steve for, I don't know, maybe a half an hour or so, and we'll chit chat and go from there. I don't have anything planned because we were going to talk about some weather stuff. So I've got some things I can share. I've got some that I can't really show you on the screen because it's a phone app, and I don't have any of that set up at the moment. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to have to try and read the chat and reply to you guys since no one else is here to read the chat for me. And no, Ted, you are not in the future. We're starting early, right? And Rabbit Ham, exactly. They all do it, and the cops do the same thing at this time. You know, it's like, well, I'm telling you, so that would be at this time, and I've probably said it too. Now it's kind of a joke between me and my wife when she nags me about if I've done something, or she reminds me. She doesn't nag. Have you emptied the dishwasher? At this time, the answer to that is no. So anyway, yeah. Let's see. So T.O. is playing it safe. Do I have makeup on tonight? No, but I think, let me see. Andy, that's an interesting question. No, I'm actually streaming directly out of StreamYard, and it may have the touch up my appearance turned on. Yes, it does. There we go. That's better. No, I'm still ugly. Yeah, okay. Scott, no, I don't have a Ham Shack hotline anymore. I guess my number might still be active through the app, what is it, Groundwire, I think, but John, mine was too. She let it expire because she's been retired for like 8 years now, but yeah, PMP. So certified nag. I mean, like science and everything. Yeah, the clock is not crooked. It's actually straight, I think. But the battery in it is dying, and it's not keeping real good time. I had to bump it the other day to get it to the correct time. I know. Oh, Big John back in the chat. Hadn't seen you in a while, Bubba. See, and T.O.'s in the chat too. So, you know, he's keeping an eye on me. And I think I saw T.O. mention it, but if you look at the pinned comment up yonder here in the chat, we are going to do a special stream next week and take questions from you guys. So we need you to go and fill out your questions on that Google form, and then we'll call them out for the really good ones. So don't ask tidy whitey or boxer briefs because we're not going to answer that. And John W3VL, that's aimed at you because there's always that one guy, right? So talking about weather, one of the sites that I mentioned to T.O. and Joe Brett had told me about this, and apparently T.O. told Joe Brett about it, was windy.com. And Windy, let me share this out. Share screen, tab, share, come back here, click this thing. There we go. So Windy is a really cool site, and it has a lot of overlays. So you can turn these on and turn them off. Let me log in. I actually pay for Windy. Hope y'all didn't get my password. It's not really 8 stars, just saying. So, no, you don't need to save it. Thank you. WeatherWise, we'll look at that one. Let me see if I can get that pulled up real quick while y'all look at the windy screen. And if it's a web app, we can look at it. I don't have any way to, okay, browser app, perfect. I don't have any way to share phone tonight. Okay, yes, I know how to click, thank you. All right, so we'll look at both of these. There's also some good phone apps as well. Dark Skies was one, and it gave you really cool hyper-local weather. But the problem with Dark Skies is I think they got bought by somebody, and then I believe the app got killed. Joe Brett also pointed me toward one called Radar Scope, and then one I found actually from a KM4 ACK video was the oh, hang on, I got to figure out what the heck it's called, and I'll pull it up and we can look at it. Something WX, Supercell WX. So let me fire it up also. All right, so I got a couple, 3 things to look at. So on windy, and I assume on a lot of these, you can turn on and off. Oh my Lord, yes, whatever. You can turn on and off a lot of these different layers. So there's a radar layer, and it also shows lightning. And here am I, right there. We've got a few little cells down yonder. But let's go up and look at Wisconsin. And you can see Steve is somewhere over here. I don't see a state line, but he's on the west side of Wisconsin, up in that top quarter. And so he's got a whole bunch of storms there, and then there's a bunch there. And he's under tornado watch until like 11 o'clock tonight, Central Time. So anyway, that's Weather Radar. Then we have Radar Plus, which is cool because it gives you the cloud tops as well as the radar picture, so you can kind of get a bigger feel of how the storm is going to progress, because you can see the cloud cover before it gets to you, which is pretty neat. A straight satellite view. So the Radar Plus is kind of those two mixed together. Rain and thunder. I don't really understand some of these. I never fool with them. Some of them I just don't care about. Typically here in Alabama, we're not really going to be looking at the wave report, or in northern Wisconsin. What is Apes weather like tonight? Well, if we go over here to Nebraska, let's see. And he's somewhere in that grid square or 3. And let's pull up the radar. It might be raining at Ape's house. Maybe. It depends on where he's at in Nebraska. And no one really knows. Anyway, so there's more layers down here, and some of these features you don't get until you pay for windy, and it's pretty cheap. I want to say it's like $10 or $12 a year, maybe 30 somewhere. I don't remember. But you can look at a lot of these different layers, and there's a lot of them that I just don't typically care about because they're not really germane to me. Thunderstorms is a good one. So this highlights the serious weather. And this also shows us state lines. So TO is up in that area somewhere, and it looks like most of that is past him at this point. Right, Lon? Ape lives near the Nebraska submarine base. That is correct. There's also a lot of aviation-related stuff on here, too, if you're in a pilot or into pilot weather, which is very interesting. There's sea-related stuff, air quality, and somewhere down here, there we go, extreme forecast, which I guess is the yellow stuff, I don't know, and then weather warnings. And weather warnings is the other layer I like to look at, because you can kind of see, if you watch this, especially with an active storm system that's moving. And I'm going to tell you straight up, not a weather guy. Like looking at it, think I'm pretty smart because I can look at radar and figure stuff out, but it stops there. Oh, yeah, you could go to the National Weather Service. James, there's a ton of weather sites. These are just a few that I look at. But the nice thing about the storm warnings, so typically, and I believe this is mostly in North America, it certainly is in Alabama. The storms here typically come southwest to northeast, generally in that path. Now, in a hurricane, it ain't that case. But the warnings are nice because you can see as the warnings pop up how fast the front or the storm system is progressing. So it kind of gives you a better feel than even looking at moving radar pictures, right? Which are just a bunch of snapshots that they stitch together. So it's kind of cool. All right, let's jump over here and look at WeatherWise, which I have never seen before. Let's see. Let me catch up with chat a little bit before we go on to this. Y'all are talking a whole lot. I'm not catching up with like 85, 90% of what we're talking about here. Lon is probably exactly right. They may close the Wahoo, but it ain't never been hit by a tornado. Probably not a Chick-fil-A either. That might say something. Just saying. That's that's right. You can smell with Wisconsin. Let's see. Okay. S2 Underground. Frank, find me a link for that and post it in the chat. Or Jody, you can post links in the chat too. So quit being a lazy Canadian. We're not going to put a tariff on it. T.O. is in the chat, and you'll notice that he's posted links down there with the Q&A form. So please go there and get that filled out if you want to drop questions on us for next week. Jody, perfect. Let me grab this link. And we'll take a look at that in a minute too. All right, so this is WeatherWise. Somebody mentioned this. And this has the multiple pictures. Here is a satellite overlay on top of radar. We turn off that, we can just see our radar picture. It's interesting, it's got little blobs, little blocks. So here are current alerts, warnings, and watches. There are 362 going on. That's for Minnesota, if I'm reading this right. And where are we at? Where's Wisconsin? That looks like that is still going toward TO right now on that one. I do like that a little better. So do we have any warnings up? Huh. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and hail. So interesting. And then we can change. Oh, this is cool. I like this. So we can change the radar picture to see wind velocity stuff. Click on the yellow on the map. Tornado watch expires in 4 hours. There's a mesoscale discussion. Tornado watch. Nice. What's yellow do? Wind advisory, tornado watch, special weather statement. Well, this is interesting, though. So down here in the corner, you have base reflectivity, which is typically what they show you on the Weather Channel on TV, usually unless they mention it different. So here's velocity vectors. I don't know how to read these. I'm going to assume that the darker red is faster. And I'm sure it says that on here somewhere. Differential reflectivity. And some of this, once you know how to read these pictures, you can actually see what they look at to determine a lot of tornado warnings. Because when they issue a tornado warning, Chase, did I see Chase in here? Did I see K5IRE in here? Where's he at? I thought I saw him. Maybe I didn't. Okay. Chase, if you're here, ping me in Discord. You lost my audio. We should still have audio here. Yeah, I guess Chase isn't here. So they determine tornado warnings by one of several methods. Perfect, thanks. Someone might have been in the brown liquor early. One of them obviously is a tornado, a visual sighting of a tornado, right? And that's a storm spotter thing. Fire departments, police departments. I know around here in Montgomery County, Alabama, you will typically hear, perfect, T.O. can hear me. You'll hear on the fire channel, on the sheriff's channel, they will tell you if they sight funnel clouds. They will tell you if there's a tornado on the ground. And the sheriff's office, who is the dispatch for the county fire departments and the sheriff's office, will put out when there's a tornado warning. They'll put out severe thunderstorm warnings, flood warnings, stuff like that as a general broadcast to everybody on those two nets. So that's one way that they'll issue a tornado warning. The other way is looking at radar pictures for what's called a hook echo. And I am not smart enough to even show you a hook echo and explain what that is. But there is a way that the radar picture shows that indicates somewhat of a hook. I think it looks kind of like that. This doesn't really show up well in front of my face, but some sort of little hook. And that's an indicated tornado. And that's a difference with velocity and of the different pieces of the storm. So it shows up different on radar because the radar waves are bouncing off of it and coming back at different times. And that is indicative of how much mass is there and the motion of the mass kind of thing. They also can see rotation. Yes, right. Robert Meyer is exactly correct. A rotating storm can prompt a warning. And then it's also possible to discern debris in a mass. And when they see the debris echo, that pretty much indicates a tornado on the ground as well. Again, not a trained storm spotter. Learned some weather stuff when I was going through pilot school. That was in 2005, so 20 years ago. I've forgotten probably 60% of it. My weather now is, raining. Oh, windy. I should go inside. That's the extent of my knowledge at this point. But there's a whole bunch of different products with radar stuff. And like I said, on TV, usually they don't get into some of the deep weather geek stuff as much. So you can also see something like storm relative velocity. So again, I don't know how to read this and know what all these colors mean. No, Jeff, I never got IFR. I was this close, and then I ran out of time and money to finish it and just never finished it. I was like maybe 20 hours away from taking my check ride. So we can also put this in motion, it looks like. Yep. So a lot of these things also rely on whoever's forecasting it to see the motion of it. And just looking at a static picture may not tell you the whole picture. So it's pretty cool. So that is WeatherWise. And this looks like this has a bunch of interesting stuff. It has a mobile app. We can set our preferences, map settings. What can we set in the map? Default or satellite. A globe projection, country settings, state settings. We can change the state colors. Oh, yeah, cool. So you could actually see the lines better. We can set county. So that brought in all the county lines. That's neat. This is an interesting website. I'm going to have to play with this. And we'll change the counties to orange. And we'll just go with that. We'll get rid of you or not. Oh, that was stopping the motion. So pretty sweet. And then outlooks, choose outlook. So let's click the tornado outlook. This is an interesting product. Yeah, I know Polk County, Steve. I got to find it. Let's see. I need to change the color of the county names to something I can actually read. I see Eau Claire, Rice Lake. Yeah, I can't find it. Anyway. Oh, Lord, that's even worse. Highway 8. There's St. Croix Falls. So that should be Polk County, right? There's Luck. So this is where TO is at, right in here. So in the giant red blob, TO is in the middle of the red blob on the 45-degree radial out of St. Paul. Well, there you go. Right in there. So pretty cool. This is interesting, and this is day 1. Day 2, we're going to be down to a yellow, which is still telling us tornado watch on day 2. I guess because it goes past midnight. Thunderstorm warnings. So this is definitely worth playing with and definitely worth setting up the colors on this guy. I'll have to explore this a lot more. All right. Now, this one is the one Jody mentioned to us. And excuse me, I need a beverage. Oh, God, that's better. But we don't care about sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, I like this already. So TO should be right around in here somewhere. And let's see what we got going on. Cat, quit. Psycho. Add. I don't want a layer. So this looks like this is using Google Earth as its engine. And we've got different base layers. Huh. This looks like this requires a fair amount of setup. Why is Milwaukee red? Oh, there's been human trafficking in Milwaukee. Oh, that's from that crazy judge in Wisconsin. Okay. So while this may do weather, it doesn't look like it's turned on at all right now. Okay, Jody, I don't know what you sent us. All right, let me close all these out. And let's share out the other program I had. Supercell. And share. There we go. So hopefully that's big enough for y'all to even see. Tio, what is that link? Blitzortung.org. Good grief. So is that lightning? Let me share this. Present, stop, present, share, live lightning map, share, add to stage. Tio, they added like 75 extra clicks in here, I swear. So this, okay, this looks pretty straightforward. So this is map.blitzortung.org. And that is going to be a latitude, longitude. I don't know what pound 5.78 is, but cool. This looks live. And guys, if you're saying anything clever in the comments, I'm looking at these pictures. I cannot keep up with the comments and do this at the same time. Yeah, Frank, StreamYard added extra steps. It's not 75 clicks, but it's annoying. It irritates both me and Steve, and then doing it by yourself, it's even worse. So this is a live lightning map. This is slick. So if I zoom in, there's Minneapolis. So TO is right about here somewhere. Right there. In this area. So he ain't got no lightning yet. Now he might have had some earlier, and then this is moving, I guess. So it doesn't look like I can put this map on the move. We can add sound. So I guess this just moves organically. Or it probably fades these out on the trailing edge of this. So that's interesting. Blitzortung.org. And then somebody just mentioned it in the chat, Underground, which is what I use also. And I actually pay for Underground as well. Let me share that tab. And log in. What? You guys are high. There we go. So we can look for Milltown, Wisconsin, and jump up there. And this will show us, of course, this shows us from some weather station that is close by. And this can be somebody's personal weather station, because a lot of the PWS systems that you can get will upload the data to Underground. I have one here that does. So this uploads lightning data as well as, you know, rain, wind, and all that kind of stuff. But the cool thing about this is it has maps as well. And I tend to like Wonder Maps the best. Let's go up here. There's Eau Claire. And then we don't want to see weather stations. We want to look at radar. And then I think we can also add in storm tracks, which I think is a cool feature. So TO is somewhere in this area up here. And you can see the current storm track. So this is actually pushing southeast. That one's a little more dead east. But I thought that was a cool feature of this one. And then it shows us also, let me zoom in. It shows us also, we can click on these and say there's a tornado spotted, sighted, something at Hay Creek Township, Minnesota, which is nice. And then it shows that it's raining here on this particular storm track. And where this is really useful is that this is showing me where that tornado action is aimed. So even if it's not coming at me, I know which way it's going and how worried I need to be and what precautions I might need to take. And then, of course, like all the other ones, it has all sorts of overlays we can turn on, and we can change the opacity. So there's a satellite overlay, right? 0, and then all the way on satellite. So you can kind of add in all the stuff you want. Let's add in some lightning. I'm not seeing a lot of lightning. I clicked it. Maybe I have too much stuff. Anyway, this is probably a function of I'm not reading something I'm supposed to be reading here. So there's Wonderground. And this site's been around for a while, and I'm getting to where I like Windy a little better. But my data goes to Wonderground. So I actually have my station, which used to be 8 and is now 21. So if you have a weather station, a PWS, you can upload your data to Wonderground, and this will show you this is your live data, or in this case, my live data, coming off of my weather station right now. And there's another one down the road from me. This, depending on what kind of weather station you have, this will tell you about lightning in the area. So I have a Tempest weather system, and it will tell me lightning is within 25 miles of FEP Labs, or lightning is 1 to 2 miles away. Of course, by the time it's 1 to 2 miles away, I can generally hear it, but so that's pretty cool. And I'm enough of a nerd about weather that I do like having the weather station. So, Don, I don't know what to tell you. My Tempest is only new since Christmas. Before that, I've had a, not Davis, Accurite weather station that's probably 6 or 8 years old, but the plastic on it was falling apart and it eats batteries like crazy. The Tempest one does not require me to put batteries in it, so I like it even better. So let's see what else we got. So let's go back and let me stop that guy. And let's share the Supercell program. Supercell share. All righty. Right, Jody? Down here, it's Alabama sunshine. I've never bought a Davis unit. The Accurite, actually, it still works if I'd go put batteries in it, but it's a pain in the butt to get to. So she got me a Tempest for Christmas, and I like it because the Accurite one didn't tell me about lightning strikes. And Don, you guys have some pretty harsh weather down there too. I think sunlight is what destroys them more than anything else, honestly. So let's take a quick look at this, and then I think we're going to wrap this up because I am running out of wind to talk this much. So this program, I just got this the other day. Excuse me. I have not used this a whole lot. Like, I played with this for 5 minutes at work one day and said, this is cool, I should get this. And Jason, KM4ACK, did a video on this. This app, now I'm running it under Windows here, but it also runs under Linux and I believe Mac OS as well. And this is a free open source app. You can get it off of GitHub. So the interesting thing about this app is that you can set this grid size to 1 or to 1 by 2 or 2 by 2, which is what I have here. So 2 vertical, 2 horizontal, which is cool because then you can get the different products and have different products in one different product in each window you want to look at. So you can have all the radar products or map products, etc., available in one single giant pane of glass. Now, that would not translate very well on YouTube, so we only got 4 at the moment. And again, there's a bunch of this stuff that I don't understand, but like we can come here and let's change the radar site and let's sort that by state. Let's find Minnesota. And I guess let's go with Minneapolis, St. Paul. And tell it okay. So now I have these 4 weather products for the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. So how useful this might be, I don't know, but that's pretty slick, I thought. Let's see. Let me catch up with the comments a minute. Chris, Chris Radio, this works on Linux, and it's available for multiple distros of Linux as well. This is Supercell WX. Spelled just like it sounds. Supercell WX. And right, 45, that is KM4ACK, also known as Smart Jason. So it's a pretty slick program. And I just installed this thing. I have barely played with it other than to look at how to change what weather it's looking at. So we have these different windows with different radar products in it, for example. So I could change a window to reflectivity. And if I click this one, we'll change this one to velocity, which it apparently already was. Oh, it says that right up here. It shows what the product is. This is NOC. I don't know what that means. That's the same one as that one. And then this is what the cool part is. I'm zooming out in one window, and it's moving all the maps together at this time simultaneously, which I thought was wank. So that is, in my opinion, a very cool feature of this. And then you need to understand what these products are. And I don't know what to tell you about level 2 and level 3 data, or products rather. So I'm sure they're different. So this is level 3 velocity down here now. And then we have a live view. We can also go back to an archive view. And this is one I want to tinker with and go back to major storms and see what data is available for some major system that came through somewhere so you could follow a track. I don't know how far back this goes. Let's see if we can get, let's see, 10/4/1995. 1995. It's not letting me type in there. Huh, okay. Maybe you can't go back to 1995. That's the day Opal came through my house. So this is a pretty slick product. And this shows you different watches and warnings down here from a specific radar station. So there's a marine warning up, surprise, probably for Lake Superior at this point, and maybe western Lake Michigan. Severe thunderstorms, tornado warning there. If we double click that, it jumps our windows to where that warning is and shows us the warnings. Thunderstorm warning. Considerable severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible. And that's by Kossuth and Winnebago. So there's a lot to explore with this program. I think it's one of the neatest weather programs I've ever seen. All right, let's pop that out. Yeah, Chris, exactly. Not smart enough to know how all that works. I know you see different things when they tilt the radar at different angles, but I don't know what you see when you tilt the radar at this angle or that angle or so forth. So there's a lot of cool things to look at. Understanding what they are is the hard part, obviously. Let's see. James, thank you for the member milestone super chat. We aim to please. And you know, T.O. and I talked before this started, before the show started, and I told him, I said, you know, if you don't come on the show, absolutely nothing's going to happen. But better that nothing happens. Now, T.O. has posted over in the chat. Post your questions for next Monday's Q&A. You need to go to that link and fill out the Google form. I haven't looked at it yet. Let's take a look at what the form looks like. And we'll do it live. Let's stop the screen. Reshare. So annoying. Share. One more time. Here we go. Welcome to Radio Q&A. So we will talk about, he says it is his show. He will cover ham radio license level questions, tech through extra, GMRS and CB, antennas and coax, power supplies and batteries, portable and off-grid setups, and temporarily offline loves a go bag. The boy is portable. He lives portable. Or anything else with a mic, coax, or radio waves. So ask your question in the form below. He'll pick the questions each week to answer on the show, real answers from a real operator, and we'll probably make jokes about it. I'm not sure. Oh, I guess that's because I'm logged in. I was like, why does it have my email in there? Anyway, oh yeah, because I'm the one that went to the form. So here is what it's asking, email address, whether you're licensed or what's your call sign, or free banding. That means you're a Ronin, a rogue without a license. Your YouTube name, because these two things do not always line up. And potential questions, sample questions, whatever. Any supporting details, so on and so forth. So you need to save that link in your browsers and go fill out your questions, because it will be a very interesting show if you guys post some questions, and it'll be kind of a snooze fest if you don't. Let's see. Yeah, Craig, that's a good point. If you, depending on where you live, you could be at the edge. Like our National Weather Service office is in Birmingham, which is about 80, 90 miles away. So it's close enough that it works out. And then there's also one south of us at Fort Rucker, I believe, and then one in Mobile, somewhere around there. So we're kind of bracketed by Weather Service offices. Don, okay, you can email me. Y'all have my email. It's on my YouTube page. Let's see. No, Frank, shut up. No, next week we'll make fun of your soldering again. Let's see. Doc Brad, how are you? James Hannibal, Prep Ham Paul. We could talk about colon cleanses, but we won't. We are going to make about a 75 slide set for colonoscopies, though, with diagrams and live recorded operating room videos. I kid. Mel Davis, member for 14 months. Mel, thank you. We appreciate it, my brother. And several people have mentioned in the chat, and I should mention it here too. There's a lot of places that have weather nets set up. So the local races or Aries group typically will fire up a net on 2 meters. Other ones, I think in Alabama, there's actually a digital net that cross links between DMR, D-Star, and Fusion, I believe. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but it's specifically for Alabama. Also locally here in Montgomery County, I know that the local bunch gets on one of the repeaters and does a weather net when we're in a severe weather situation. Now, the few times I've listened to it, it's basically guys reporting observed conditions at their location. So for what that's worth. And it's a way to keep up with stuff. If you don't have TV, the radio is a much better alternative sometimes because it gives you pretty much real-time info. We're lucky here. I live where there's good cell coverage. I have TV, I have cell coverage, I have radios, at least one, but not enough. We're usually pretty up on things. Let's see. Jay, thank you for the member super chat. Tio is still chatting in the chat, so probably good at this point, at this time. And thank you for being a member. Let's see. Portable Ham, you're late. You need to go to Ham Church on Sunday, brother. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not involved in Skywarn here, Hillbilly, so I don't really know. I just don't have time to take on any more stuff to do. A lot of places, Sean, are going to have Skywarn and stuff like that. And we may have it here. I just have never pursued being involved in it. Let's see, Aries. Yeah, Don, I think that's the group that gets here on one of the repeaters. Aries or Races, I don't really know who. Hannibal, you need to move out to the country because then your neighbors are used to that kind of thing. Let's see. A weather radio. Let me harp on a weather radio. First of all, I would bet $1, because I'm a cheap bastard, that almost every one of you has a radio capable of monitoring NOAA weather radio right now. And probably 80 or 90% of the radios you have that do monitor NOAA will alert for weather alerts. So that is something that you should have at your side during any kind of severe weather event. Now, we have a real weather radio, and it's programmed to my county and the counties south and west of me, because that's the way our weather typically comes, so we get kind of a heads up. But I'm almost positive that the low-end FANGs have weather radio. They can certainly receive it. I don't know if they can alert on it. But any decent radio is going to have weather alert capability. The ICOMs, the Yaesus, the Kenwoods do, I know. I'm pretty sure the VGC, N76 TO's red radio, those radios have it. Probably a whole lot of other ones that I can't even think to mention. So you should have a weather radio, absolutely. This stuff with the websites and the computers is great, but there's nothing that can supplant for real-time information having weather radio and being alerted, especially at dark 30. Jimmy has been a member for 4 months. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate it. TO, stay safe. Yes, indeed. Let's see. And thank you all for hanging around. Donald, the Donald. This is the Donald of ham radio. Don has been a member for 53 months. It seems like 53 years, Don, but thank you, my friend. TO, stay safe. Appreciate it, Don. Let's see. I don't want to miss anybody. Kansas Jeff. Kansas Jeff has been a member for 10 months. Jeffro, thank you. Appreciate it. And if you look below the chat, you will see things for you to do super chats. And if you are a member of the channel, you get one free member super chat, member milestone chat per month. So you can actually do one for free. And I can't remember off the top of my head what that little dingus looks like, but there's a $1 one, there's a super chat, there's a super sticker, and I can't remember what the other one says. So that's what Jeff did, and a bunch of the others is drop their member milestone super chats. So I think, let me jump over here to starred comments. I think I got everybody. Scott dropped a member super chat. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Philly Ed. Yes, that's right. You should blow your money on the weather station. I highly recommend the Tempest one. It's pretty cool. You can spend more. The Davis ones, and I think Lacrosse, are kind of like the really high-endy prosumer level ones. The Tempest was, I don't know, a couple $100, $300. I don't remember. The AccuRite's about $150. And again, it works. It just doesn't give me lightning, but it does wind and rain and all that. And if you don't mind going out and changing the batteries in it once every 6 weeks, it's not a big deal. So Ed's been a member for 38 months. Thank you, Ed. Mel Davis, I think I mentioned you already, so I may have caught up. Jay, I don't think I mentioned you. Thank you for being a member for 7 months. Jimmy, yeah, I think I've covered all you guys now. And if I said thank you to you twice, you people owe me a pork chop sandwich if you're at Dayton. All right. Sean Wright, if you play with that, you get your radio 3 months down the road after you've turned on, I think I should have weather alerts on, and you enable it, and then you forget about it, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, the damn thing goes off. Yeah. Sean, you ain't the only one, and it's not a new ham thing. It's probably half the people in here have done that and then forgot they turned it on and then pooped their pants when it went off while they were listening to the BozoNet or something. Yeah. So no, it's not exclusively to new hams. All right, let's see. Yes. You can do all sorts of fancy stuff with it. Jody, I have never played with IFTTT. I know it does a whole bunch of stuff. I've just never messed with it. Doc Brad, what do I have for home lightning protection? A metal roof, a strong ground, and solid faith that statistically it's probably not going to happen. I'm in a brick house, and you should hear the Commodores singing that in your head right now. I'd sing it, but we'd get a copyright strike because I'm so close to how they sound. So I'm in a brick house with a complete metal roof, and then we have standard code compliant grounds here. But I don't have any specific lightning protection. On the radio, the Flex out in the shop, if that's what you're asking, I do have the Paradan antenna disconnect thing out there. And of course, that stuff's all grounded to a separate ground rod, but that's in a separate building, my shop building. And thank you for the $4.99 super chat, Doc. Appreciate it. Let's see. Yeah, true enough, Jason. But almost still has to be close enough. All right. Is Jim going to buy another radio at Dayton? I cannot, at this time, honestly say no. If the Kenwood Mobile is out at Dayton, potentially, if I'm high on pork chop sandwiches, I might buy it. But I'm also afraid because I feel that I should ask how much that thing's going to cost. And you know the old saying, if you have to ask, you probably can't afford it. And since a D75 goes for what, $600, $800, somewhere in there, I feel that their mobile radio is probably going to be pushing over $1,000. And my personal bet is around $1,200. So yeah, I don't think so, but you never know. Jody, that is exactly correct. At this time means it depends. No, Hacks, I am not going to buy any radios tonight on the stream. I am trying to de-radio myself a little bit. I have 2 radios I need to sell now. As a matter of fact, a very low mileage ICOM 2730B and a Yaesu 2800M. Both are nice radios, but I'm going to stick with the Kenwood I got at Orlando. Hillbilly, every time I look at that thing, I covet it badly. I know, but I'm just afraid to find out how much that thing's going to cost. Yeah, $600 for a D75. I'm betting that Kenwood Mobile's $1,000 at least, maybe $1,200. So, and Eamon, I hear what you're saying. I would hope so. For as much as it's going to cost, I hope it comes with brackets. Because ICOM apparently can't afford or can't license actual brackets with their radios. They're separate. I don't know. Anyway, boys, I'm going to hit the button. I am worn out from the floor out right now, and I've been talking for like an hour. Thank you all for coming. Hopefully, T.O. will be back next week. Please, 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 make sure you fill out some questions. And if your question's not completely doofy, we will talk about it on the air next week on Nuggets. Thank you all for coming. I'm hitting the button. Y'all have a great night. Stay safe. T.O., be careful, my friend. Button engaged right now, so I can't talk about the smoking ape anymore.